Hello everybody, another week is here, the first week of September. I'm Bobby Manning, and this, as you know by now, is the Banners broadcast where we break down the Celtics from the perspective of CELTICSBLOG. We do it every week here, brought to you by the site, brought to you by CLNS Media, our friends over there. We've heard contributors from over there now at this point, so we're getting the best of both worlds here on this show. And stepping away from a little bit of the conventional structure of the show for the next few weeks as training camp roars in. Some interesting stuff happened this week. It feels like we've had a busier offseason than usual, especially in the August portion. So we have a little bit to talk about there, but for the most part, we want to focus on the roster because we finally know what it is, and we are doing roster reviews on the Banners broadcast today. I'm Bobby Manning, but I'm not going to be doing it alone today. With us is the founder of CELTICSBLOG, with us again after his appearance on the first episode. Here he is for number 9. He's Jeff Clark.
Thank you, everybody. It's good, fun to be on here. It's just another casual, boring weekend in the middle of the summer, right?
Yeah. So the new centerpiece of the team now in Isaiah Thomas's absence, there's Irving, of course, but the guy they really courted, the guy they brought in to be the guy here feels like is Gordon Hayward. Kyrie was even pumping him up at the press conference. It looks like he's going to be a focal point on this offense one way or another. They're going to be trying to feed him shots, feed him the offensive production, and he is more than capable, more than able, it seems like. You look at his numbers in Utah, and they're great. But looking at the Utah team, the way they approach the game, a low pace of offense, low amount of possessions, the amount of efficiency and offensive production he was able to put up with such a low amount of shots, with such a low amount of possessions, really blew my mind. And watching him take advantage of some of these situations, especially against the Clippers in that first round, he just looks like a player tailor-made for this offense. He can really create. He can create for himself, spot up. He just has it all in his offensive repertoire.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting to see both Kyrie and Gordon coming over from different offenses and how they're going to fit into this this Brad Stevens led offense. And a lot of what they did in those other offenses was because of the personnel that they had. Like, the Jazz didn't necessarily have a running gun team, so they slowed it down and they played good defense. The Cavs have, LeBron James, who is the best point power forward in the game, and so of course they're going to run everything through him. How those two guys shift from those environments into this Brad Stevens offense is going to be interesting, especially when you consider that, hey, I'm not even necessarily 100% sure what the Brad Stevens offense is going to be now that he has a completely different roster. It's not necessarily going to be everybody share alike and get Isaiah Thomas open anymore. Now it's going to be, Gordon takes his turn, Irving takes his turn. Not necessarily ISO ball, but it's going to be, you're going to see some elements of ISO ball involved as well. Yes, he's going to want to move the ball. He's going to want to share the ball and get things moving. And I think that is a particular Brad, offense characteristic. But at the same time, he's not going to, totally do away with the excellent one-on-one skills that Kyrie Irving has. That's obviously an option that he can go with. And to a lesser extent, same thing goes for Jason Tatum. So he's going to utilize everybody's strengths, try to minimize their weaknesses, and move forward that way.
I like that point because, as we've seen with players here, and on Twitter it's been talked about, whether it was Evan Turner, whether it was Jared Sullinger, maybe guys who didn't fit perfectly within this pace and space offense they had, Brad just kind of let these guys be themselves. Smart for that matter, too. I mean, think of how many tendencies he has that you think would drive a coach crazy, but he sees strengths in certain aspects of his game, so he kind of takes the good with the bad there and lets him be himself. And I think what's cool about Hayward, too, is that they're going to be able to layer possessions on this offense when it comes to ball handlers. We saw that last year, and it seems even more evident now because the guy can handle the ball. I mean, he was running pick and rolls for Utah. He's a very adept passer. He uses the screens a ton to set himself up, to set others up. So he's going to be another option they have for possessions, whether it's Horford, whether it's him, Smart, Irving himself. Like they have almost like 5 primary ball handlers on this team, with Hayward being among them.
And they'll have an option of staggering the stars throughout the lineup as well. I mean, last year it was Isaiah Thomas or bust, and that worked for a lot of times. But this year they'll have Kyrie and Gordon, and maybe you'll have Gordon with the second unit, in which case he can take on some of the ball handling responsibilities and let Marcus Smart do his thing. So it's going to be, there's always going to be someone out there that Brad can rely upon to get him some buckets and to keep the offense moving in a positive direction without sacrificing too much on defense, hopefully.
You said earlier there's going to be that thing of Irving getting his for a moment, Hayward getting his for a moment. Are you concerned?
Sometimes, yeah.
Are you concerned at all that Hayward might just not be able to get enough? Because one of the things that excited me about him coming here is he's going to ramp up his attempts even more, be able to become an even higher caliber player. Because if we're talking about beating the Cavaliers this year possibly, I think you're going to have to see Hayward take another leap. What's interesting with him is he's taken a scoring leap each of the last 6 years, only player in the league to do that. And what excited me most about him coming here is the possibility of him taking that 7th leap. And then at that point, you're talking about him as maybe one of the very best scorers in the game. Now Irving's here too, and you got to manage his shots as well. There's going to be a balance there. There's almost that thing of, whose team is it when it comes to the offense?
Well, I mean, frankly, I don't care, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a team game, and it's a team effort. And I think if you're worried about getting Gordon Hayward into the top scorers in the league, maybe you got the wrong priorities, because we got to make sure that the team is winning, and that means I don't think it's necessarily going to be a your turn, my turn type of thing. I think it's going to be, hey, you're hot, let's feed you the ball a little bit more. Even on the teams that did have 2 high volume scorers like Westbrook and Durant, let's say, and I'm not comparing these guys to those guys, but at the same time, it's an example to say both those guys got their shots, and so there's going to be plenty of shots to go around, especially if they are doing the pace and space and moving the ball around. And I see Gordon Hayward's real value in his versatility, all the different things that he does well. Yes, he's a good scorer, and we're going to take advantage of that. And certainly, it's going to be a release valve for Kyrie Irving. But at the same time, he can also pass well. He can move without the ball well. He can set good screens. He can play good defense. Like, you're not losing anything by having him on the court. And if anything, I think you've also got this blessing of Al Horford, who is the quote unquote superstar role player. And he's the kind of guy who also sets the good screens. Who passes well from the high post. He's he can stretch it out to 3-point land, and he's just he sees the game and he makes the right reads. And it's to me it's similar to the a toned down role of Kevin Garnett's role on the last Big Three era. So he does a little bit of everything, and he kind of makes the engine hum, even if the scoring and the glory points are coming from other positions.
Yeah, defense is something I really looked into on him too, because with a guy like that making that much money, you want him to be impacting both sides of the floor. And what surprised me about him is he's a pretty capable defender, and it comes with his length. I feel like on a lot of the possessions, he was contesting shots with that length, using it to his advantage. And he's put on weight over the years too. You watch his first year, kind of a very skinny guy, and now he's one of the bigger guys on the court. When you look at him muscle-wise, he has really made a concerted effort to put some size onto himself. So that's very optimistic too, I'd say. So there's a lot to love about him, especially the efficiency. When he gets his shots, he's going to put them in at a pretty decent rate. I mean, even on closely contested shots, he was putting in threes at a 30% clip, which I thought was impressive too. So that's what's awesome about Hayward. He's going to be versatile too, being able to play a couple different positions, which of course Stevens loves. Another guy who's hopefully going to be able to do that in a bench role this year. Just like last year, we had a top 3 pick coming in and being part of the bench effort. It looks like that's going to be the case again with a guy I love to talk about, and Jason Tatum, right out of Duke. And Danny was going to make this guy his #1 pick, it seemed like, until he traded back, got another pick, and picked this guy up as well. And it didn't seem like he saw a big difference among those top 3 guys, so value it is.
Yeah. So, when Danny gets his evaluations in, he trusts those evaluations, and he don't care what everybody else says. That's for better or worse, that we're rolling with that, and that's pretty cool from that perspective. On the other hand, he's gonna be a rookie. Rookies make rookie mistakes, and I'd say his offense is probably as NBA ready as anybody I've seen in the last few years. But he's got to learn how to play defense. He's got to be in the right positions, and I think he is going to work hard on that. I don't know what his limits are on that, but because I haven't done extensive research into his defense, but he obviously feels the game on offense really well, and so it's kind of funny when yes, he's going to have to earn his time as a rookie, but at the same time, Danny Ainge has stacked the end of the bench with all other rookies, so it's kind of like pick your poison. Yeah. You're going to go with the most talented rookie out of the bunch, and I do think he's going to be in the main rotation early on. It's just going to be. Even you saw with Jaylen Brown last year, and Jaylen Brown has a much better track record in terms of defense. But there were times when he would take play a game or a possession or two, and Stevens would just yank him because he wasn't in the right place. So you could see the same thing happen to Jason Tatum, whether that's in the starting lineup or 5 minutes in or 10 minutes in or what. So we'll wait and see how Brad mixes and matches all these pieces. It's going to be very interesting to see.
Yeah, and it's a packed roster, too. Like, there almost seems to be too many guys and not enough minutes, where I'd look at a guy like Semi and say, there's so much to love there. The chiseled frame, the fancy layups around the rim, his ability to use contact. Like, there's a lot I love about him, but there also doesn't seem to be a lot of opportunity here for him, especially now with the talent they've added. Rookies just don't have as much space to operate, especially for a team like the Celtics that has used as many draft picks over the last few years as they have. There's a lot of young guys here above them. You got Brown, you got Tatum, you got Abdel Nader, who we'll talk about in a second, in play now as well. So I just hope he's able to find that opportunity early and take full advantage of it. Another guy that's... Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I kind of see... I started writing down the list, the kind of the depth chart of Brad Stevens' new lineups here, and you get down to 7, 8 on that list, and you're starting to search for okay, who's the next guy up here? And I really honestly think that at least early on, and perhaps all year, it's going to be next guy up, who's hot, who's doing good in practice this week, who's it's going to be between Yabu and Semi and Nader and all these guys they're all unproven, and you've seen in the past. Brad Stevens has been he'll pick a week and he'll give the minutes to this rookie or that rookie and see how they work out. For a week or so there was we saw them give minutes to James Young, and there was other minutes that he gave to Jaylen Brown, and then he would cycle through to someone else. And so I think he sometimes will reward hard work and someone who gets it and who's getting it in practice. And also I think he'll probably end up going with matchups and things of that nature. So if if he needs a little bit more girth, obviously Baines is going to be out there. But if he can maybe match up with speed and length a little bit, maybe you'll see a little bit more of Jason Tatum and maybe Semi Ojeleye. So there's a room and a role for all of them on there.
We'll see. There's still so many questions to ask about this roster, and we're going to continue to preview it here on the Banners broadcast on Celtics Blog. Thanks for helping us preview 6 of them today, Jeff.
No problem. It was a pleasure.